Every day, families are being torn apart by words that would have been avoided, actions that would have never happened or somehow would have been avoided, and then anger that only took but a few seconds but creates an everlasting damage in their life. Hello, beautiful people. How are you guys doing? I remain your girl D for Delia, and of course, I want to believe you're staying safe and, of course, staying out of trouble. So, you know what? Today, I have come for us to have this great and an amazing discussion. This is really what people are facing, both in the world at large and in the Western world. Most of my topic might be immigrant based because I'm one of the immigrants living in the Western world. Today, I want us to talk about domestic violence as it's been affected both to the men and to women. And also, I want us to incorporate anger management in it because if anger can be managed and be controlled, I want to believe that there must be limit to the level or to the rate of domestic violence that we have in today's society. Yes. But before then, I would like to ask you this very question. If one argument with your spouse, your husband, or your wife could destroy your marriage, end your career, end your freedom as a person, or rather affect your status as whatever position that you found yourself. If you somehow knew that reacting in a particular way or manner in that point when you had violence or had issue or crisis with your spouse, if you knew such thing would happen, would you still have reacted the way you reacted or would you have reacted somehow different? I would definitely want to know the answer to this question. Every day families are being torn apart by words that should not have been spoken, actions that would have never happened or could have been avoided, and then anger that only lasted just for a few seconds. Today, we are going to talk about most or some things that many people avoid when it comes to domestic violence. We are going to talk about why domestic violence happens. We are also going to talk about why are so many people breaking apart due to not being able to manage their anger, or rather not being in charge of their anger. Today, we are also going to look at anger management and how and why some people find it difficult to be in control of their anger. And we are also going to applaud some people who we have seen that were able to manage their anger, and we are going to look at how and the pattern and modus of operandi on how they have chosen to avoid domestic violence by controlling their anger. So, first and foremost, when we talk about domestic violence is not just physical. Domestic violence is not only when you lay your hand on someone or your partner or your spouse. No. Domestic violence is not only when you get into a fight with someone. Domestic violence can be emotional abuse, it can be verbal abuse, it can be financial control, and definitely it can also be emotional abuse. There has been situation whereby, with the mentality that most people have, they believe that when we talk about domestic violence, it's only when you have laid your hand on someone, maybe caused them to bleed or beat them beyond repair, that you have caused them some damage, some swollen and all that. They believe that it is only when you have done something that is impactful physically on them for someone else to notice that is what domestic violence is made of. No. Domestic violence can be a way of you abusing someone, a way of you making someone feel inferiority complex by the words of your mouth. Domestic violence can be you calling someone so many names, making them feel less of themselves. making them not to be, comfortable staying around you, shutting them out even when they want to express themselves. Domestic violence can be in so many ways. Even someone that bullies someone is also part of domestic violence, right? Because you are using some kind of power to work against that very person in a manner or in a form at which they cannot fight back. And in most cases, not like some people cannot fight back, right? But they have to look at the situation, look at where they are, look at the circumstances that surround the situation, look at what he stands to lose or stand to gain if he or she decided to retaliate back. Take for instance in the Western world. Domestic violence in Western world is something you have to learn as if you are going to school. When it comes to Western world, domestic violence is something you really have to learn how to manage. Anger management is a course that you have to study as a person individually. And then, if you can, study and also study for whoever that happens to be your partner. You know why I say that? When it comes to the Western world, domestic violence is something that you really have to checkmate yourself about. Take, for instance, if you happen to have a partner who is so temperamental and cannot really control his or herself, right? At every time, maybe in a week, if she did not set the whole hell loose, if she did not make the house become uncomfortable, she would not be satisfied or he would not be satisfied. If you have a partner that happiness is somehow like a jailbreaker for her, like she do not enjoy a peaceful moment, because some people are somehow that way that they can choose to have 2 days of happy moment, then 3 days of sadness. If you happen to have yourself in such situation, and of course, if you want to manage it and still be in it, you definitely would have to go build yourself on how to deal with your anger management. Yes, you have to. Take, for instance, let's talk about emotional abuse. Because, like I told you, domestic violence are in so many ways, right? So I'm going to list to you the few points or the few kind of domestic violence that we have. Let's talk about emotional abuse. Take, for instance, a man or a woman went to work, did like a 12 hours, get back home, right? And decided that he or she want to talk to their spouse, right? Maybe they had some issue yesterday and now one choose to be more mature, to let go, to try not to carry it in the mind. Because when it comes to this issue of couple or marriages, right, I want you to understand that one person is always bearing to let things go, while the other person is always on the trigger point. Yes. When it comes to marriages or union or people living together, if you see a marriage that looks peaceful, if you see a marriage that seems to be working and moving and going smoothly, I want to let you know that one person among those couple have decided to always let go, to always subpedal, to always apply those brakes when it comes to the issue of crisis, violence, and them having problems in that marriages. One person always let go, while the other person is always on the trigger point. I want to let you know that. And of course, if it happens to be in a situation whereby the two people were, uniquely combined, in the sense that, maybe this person is on the hot side and this person is on the cold side, right? So at any time that crisis want to escalate, you would see the one on the cold side always trying to let go, maybe be calm, just to take a walk, just to walk away, not to let that escalate. While the other one on the hot side would always be vibrating, always try to escalate the situation, always try to make it move from the level it was to the next level, right? But because the one on the cold side have a way and pattern on how to avoid those crises and those situations where such thing happen, looking at the situation, the circumstance that surround him or her, he have derived a pattern or rather, she have derived a pattern on a way to always avoid or detach himself or herself from that situation at any time it happens. As I take, for instance, a man or a woman went to work, do 12 hours, came back home, and then tried to, set up a communication with the couple. Maybe yesterday they kind of have some argument, and then, maybe the man chooses to be matured just to try to say, hey, how you doing, my wifey? Hope you're doing good. And then she chooses to ignore. Or vice versa, it could be the woman that went to work and get back home and try to talk to the man. Maybe the man happens to be one of the king of malice and he chooses to ignore, right? In this situation, you ignore the man or you ignore the woman. Maybe in the next 5 hours, both of you is in that house, no communication, no interaction, no relation. And of course, everybody goes to dish food for themselves. When you eat, you wash dishes for yourself. Things that we see in Western world, right? When it comes to Western world, right, most people definitely lose the respect, the pedestrian where they think they are, and some things they think that kind of define them, they lose it, right? So in this situation, you choose to ignore the man or the man chooses to ignore the woman, and it keeps escalating, right? Just for something that happened yesterday that maybe people would have, maturely choose to let go or rather respond to the partner that say, hey, how are you doing? Knowing fully well that he just got back home. Even though you're angry, you could respond and still be angry. Do you understand? But then most people study violence and know how to carry it from level 1 to level 10. Like they can give it to you bass balls, how you want it. They can give it to you in any way, in any form you want it. So many people are ready to always pull this trigger. It doesn't matter how you have choose to want to resolve it. They would always take it to the extreme. So you trying to ignore your partner is a good example of an emotional abuse, right? Because you ignored him, making the whole house look quiet, not talking, not even trying to express yourself, and then what's come to it? If that person or the spouse that have chosen not to talk is the type that always want to be on the mute side, you would not even know what is going on with him or her, and they would frustrate your life emotionally that sometimes you never wish for such problems to occur again. So, but I must applaud some couples because I have seen some men or some women that definitely know how to manage themselves when situations arise. They definitely know how to manage themselves. And I am of the opinion that if you see people that knows what to do and how to handle things and try to drop their men ego and try to drop their men pride or their women pride just to make things happen, I only give them kudos. Yes, I believe in applauding who deserve it. I believe so. So secondly, let's look at verbal abuse. Yes, let's look at verbal abuse. In a situation whereby we have a verbal abuse, whereby maybe people in relationship, it mustn't be just couple. People in relationship found themselves, having problem issues, and then it escalated, and they started making some exchange of words, right? Maybe we the women, our power is always in the mouth. Like we can try to wash you from head to toe. There are situations whereby people can wash themselves verbally in a manner that is so condescending, and even in the front or in the presence of their children. They would so embarrass themselves. They will so use this word that that is so demeaning. And most times the children will just be there watching. And I tell you, when you see a family or couples that cannot control this anger, even in the front of the children, then you should understand that they do not really, care how that affects those children. Take for instance, when we were growing up, right? I can tell you that I barely see my dad and my mom quarrel in our present. Honestly speaking, I am not going to lie about this. I hardly see my mom and my dad burst into a kind of argument, quarrel, or fight. Like I never knew anything about such to say, okay, maybe I'm in my own home and things like this happen, and I would definitely want to make reference to how I see it happen around my parents. I never saw that. I never saw that. The only thing I will tell you happened one time, which I was still a little girl, right? And what happened is, I think I kind of did something because my mom is more on the disciplinary side than my dad, right? One time that I knew my dad kind of play his hand on me is he told me not to do something. I think I went to a particular place, I went to a particular house where they have a dog, and somehow the dog bit me, right? And then my dad took me to the hospital, treat me and all that. And he told me never to go to that place again. If I need to play with my friends there, they should come out, but I should not go there again. So now what happened? As a child, I always somehow go back to that place because I have some of my mates that I used to play with. But what happened is that I try to play my dad by wanting to listen to the sound of his car. That at any time I hear him coming back, I ran out and ran back home, right? So one of the days I was in this very house and I heard the sound of my dad car, and then I tried to run out, not knowing that my dad had already saw me. So what happened? When he came back, he ate, had his dinner, and after his dinner, right, he asked me what he told me about going to that house. And what happened? You know, they say spare the rod and train the child, if I'm correct, right? I guess that is how they say it. So what happened? Because I did not obey his instruction, my dad kind of have those, there's a kind of cane that we use those days. He used those cane and said that I should give him my hand, and he flogged me. I think he flogged me 3 times. Do you know that that cane my dad flogged me up till now that I'm adult? At any time I bring back the memory of my late dad, I will remember how he flogged me. Because that was a one time flog that he gave me. And that one time flog never left my mind. Because I felt like, how can my dad flog me? Why did he flog me? He didn't love me. You know, things like that. And honestly speaking, emotionally, man, things can mess up with your mind. Notwithstanding that I disobeyed and did not keep his command, right? But because he flogged me, that cane was like the biggest thing he has ever done to me, right? So, in the aspect of my mom, I think something happened one time, and my mom somehow, I don't have memory of my mom punishment because my mom punished you at all given time. So I do not have any memory of my mom punishment because I don't know the memory to keep and leave the order. My mom is a disciplinarian and she can't take any rubbish from you. I'm telling you, you have to be up and doing. You have to pay attention. You have to do what she needed you to do. So I do not have memory of my mom's punishment because that is always like it comes and goes. There is no need of keeping such memories, right? Because it's out of numbers. It's out of numbers that I cannot keep them. That is my mom for you. So I think one time my mom did something and my dad wanted to patronize me. I think my mom either flogged me or spanked me. I can't remember what happened, but my dad wanted to patronize me. So my dad called my mom and said, "Come, why did you beat Delia? What did she do?" You know. So my dad and my mom were like, my dad will tap the mom. Why did you beat my daughter? My mom will tap my dad. You know, they were just doing that, and in my mind, yes, my dad is fighting for me. And do you know when I saw my dad doing that to my mom, I felt happy. Like my dad is standing for me. My dad is fighting for me. My dad is correcting my mom's mistake by beating me, not knowing that these both people were playing with my intelligence. They were playing with my intelligence as a young girl. Is when I grew up, I started understanding relationship that I said no. Whatever my dad was doing to my mom then wasn't beating. Those people were confusing me. They were playing on my intelligence. That was what happened. So now I said this to say that it depends. My dad only flogged me once for disobeying his order, but that remained in my mind. Even as an adult, I still always remember it because he is no more. But anytime I want to talk about one time that he punished me, That is the only memory I have in his mind. Coming to my mom's side, I did not store any memory of my mom punishment because it's always she always have to punish you if you do something. So no need of storing those memories, right? Because it's more like a daily activity. So now I want to applaud some couple. It could be a man or a woman that I've seen doing this. Listen, I remember I am actually on verbal abuse, right? You have seen in a situation whereby couples are having argument, and maybe the woman will choose to wash the man from head to toe. She will call him all sort of names. You are not man enough. You are so useless. The Bible said that any man that cannot feed the family is worse than infidel. We know the Bible said that. They will call him so many names. They will tell him you're not man enough, be a man. They would compare him with so many people. Not living with those people, but they would definitely compare him with so many people. And then you will see a situation whereby a man would verbally wash the wife, knowing fully well that when he got married to this wife, she was one of those speck of his that he loved, sexy and beautiful. But now she already have kids and she is out of shape, right? The man will wash the woman, tell her all kind of things, tell her how she's no more good looking, tell her how she's no more part of what the society needs, tell her how ugly she looks, tell her every of those bad words that will make her feel less. Those are verbal abuse, right? You will see couple have an argument, right? Because I believe when it comes to situation like this, at least one person should be more mature than the other, right? But in some cases, we have three or two kind of scenario in these cases. It's either you see both couple ranting, shouting, responding and abusing and cursing each other's out. And if you agree with me, in such situation, this is where domestic violence take place. This is where domestic violence happens. This is when one person do not want to support her, and the other person said, I cannot let you speak to me in this manner. And before you know I came and married you. I know I accepted you, and I'm not gonna let you do this to me. And then maybe the woman will be like, touch me if I dare you to touch me, because she already know that the society or where she was would always fight on her behalf, right? And now she would use verbally to push the man to the wall, and before you know, you might have, and it will start, right? Or rather, the man would probably believe that the woman is, whatever the woman is saying is typical example of what the man is. Because there is one thing about human being, when you are cussing them out, and whatever you are telling them or cussing them about is the typical example of what they are, it gets to their bone marrow. It gets to their bone marrow that they do not want to let go, right? Especially when whatever you are saying is true. In that situation, the man will feel like the woman have said it all, right? After all, when you were back home, you respect me, you do this, you do that. Now you think you're over here and you cannot control yourself. You think you can tell me anything you like and stuff like that, right? And at this point, those two choose to be children. They refuse to be matured, or one person refused to be matured and let the other one be ranting like a stupid person. At this point, both of them go together, ranting, abusing each other, cursing each other out. It gets to a time before you know they start applying physical interaction or physical abuse. And before you know, boom, is either it ends up good or it ends up bad. Yes, it happens all the time. But I tell you, I want to applaud some people here. I do want to applaud that man or that woman that have decided and chosen to be the matured one when the situation is escalated. I want to applaud that man or that woman that have chosen to be matured and either choose to walk away or leave the house when the tempo is high or when the crisis or the violence is escalating and they choose to take a walk. I applaud you as a man and I applaud you as a woman. And I also want to applaud that woman that when the man is ranting, shouting like a bulldog, yes, because sometimes people talk out of control. When the man is shouting, ranting, trying to bring down the roof, and the woman somehow decided to keep quiet or to ignore all those ranting. I want to tell you something. Keeping quiet to someone can mean two things. It's either you are trying to avoid for that situation not to escalate, because you do not want it to escalate, because in your mind you have already had in mind that when this escalates it could be two things. It could be me losing my freedom or him losing his freedom. It could be me being affected physically or him being affected physically. It could be us, ending up our career in one form or the other. If you are that woman that have this in the mind and decided to keep quiet, I want to let you know that you are not less of a woman. You are not doing that because you are a fool. No. You are doing that because you know what the future holds for you. And you know that even when you choose to keep quiet, you are indirectly making whosoever that is ranting to look like a coward. I don't know if you know that. When people are ranting, shouting, and you, on the other hand, decided to ignore and not to reciprocate at the same time, knowing that by the time you reciprocate, the tempo is going to be more high and it's going to lead to something different that you both did not see or anticipate that it was going to happen. But then you decided to keep quiet. I know two things. Keeping quiet is either making him look like a coward and let him rant and talk, right? Or keeping quiet is you avoiding that after incident or after report that would come after those ranting and violence. It is two things. But I really do want to applaud because I know someone or a friend who I believe that I've applauded and said thank you and kudos to you for always using this format. Do you know what he does? When the situation is on the very high level. When the violent is all about maybe my gender, voicing out, shouting, talking, cursing out, he choose to take a walk. He leave the house. Look at the two things he put in consideration when leaving the house. He believed that even if I'm in the house, she might still be ranting, right? And perhaps the neighbors might hear, perhaps the neighbors might want to call the police because they don't know what is happening, but they know that the house is vibrating. What will he do? He choose to walk away. He choose to leave the house because when he leave the house and the woman does not see who else to rant to, she would calm down. And maybe by the time she calmed down, she would regret what she did. Yes, because when you leave the house for her, or rather for him, you have left the house. You have left the house for the coward to keep barking, for the coward to keep ranting. And that is a solution for you. And that is a solution for both of you. And that is you avoiding problem, avoiding crisis, avoiding situation, and avoiding any violence that would have come out of that ranting or shouting. And I want to applaud any man that have chosen that as a way to stay out of trouble. And I also applaud every woman that have chosen a way of ignoring, a way of not trying to retaliate or argue back at a time like this. I applaud you as a woman. And I want to let you know that you are not less, you are not a coward, you are not stupid, but you are doing the right thing. If you know you cannot deal with all this, if taking a walk has been like a jailbreaker for you, good, do it. But if you have kids, look at some things and say, okay, I want to deal with it, just for the sake of the kids and all that. I know people don't like hearing things like that because at the end they will be like, something happens to her because for the sake of the kids, she stayed back. Yes. So I always want you to look at the situation and know if it's something you want to stay back for, or something you want to take a walk. It's always going to be a safe decision by you, for you, and for yourself. Okay? And having listed so many kind of abuse for you, I just want to touch this third one, which is going to be like financial control as a way of abuse. Yes, financial control as a way of abuse. Yes. Why I say this is I don't want to start discussing every kind of abuse that happen in a marriage, in a relationship, or rather in Western world, right? But I've told you these three: emotional abuse, verbal abuse, and then financial control as a way of abuse. In some situations, you would see couple, of course, in Western world, all hands are on decks, right? People are working, right? But maybe the woman is earning more than the man. And then, knowing fully whether she's earning more than the man, she's still having this mindset of hers that you are the man, you gotta take care of things. You are the man, you have to pay all the bills. You are the man, it is your duty take care of your family. Because the Bible says that any man that cannot take care of his family is worse than infidel. We are always in the high speed to quote that verse. So in this situation, financial control, the man paycheck cannot pay all the bills, right? But then she cannot get her to help because she already have a mindset, build this thought in her mind that I would not pay no matter whose else it got. I would not pay no matter what happened. I will not put my dime in paying any bill. She believed that her money is for her to take care of herself, buy the hairs, buy the wigs, sort her family out and do all that, right? And now, in this situation, that is financial control. Or let's also take, for instance, whereby a couple have one account, right? You work as a woman, it goes to that account. You work as a man, it goes to that account. And maybe the man ends up becoming there are some men that are good in solving problem at the outside, whereas the problem inside is there. So men are good in helping people outside, whereas their family or his immediate family is going through situation. There are some men like that. And now you probably work with this man, you guys have the same account, but he has more control over whatever you guys make more than you have. And we are all human, right? We are all human. That she works and you work, yes. And at the end of the day, you keep becoming the dangote of your time. Whereas she can barely spend half of what you're spending, right? And financial control can also be in a situation whereby maybe both people agree to be taking care of some bills, right? But then someone is slacking while the other one is not meeting up to the expectation. And before you know, that could burst into an argument, that could burst into people trying to change from whatever they agree on, that could burst into so many things, right? And you will see a situation whereby maybe a man wants to know everything that the woman is doing. If you must give someone $1 here, I want to know about it. If you must give someone $2 from your paycheck, I want to know about it. There are some level of control that sometimes they look stupid, or the manner at which you communicate, it looks stupid, right? And you want to checkmate somebody, but there should be a limit to that checkmate because people are definitely gonna grow, and you cannot do that, 247. You cannot do that at all times. So I want to say this by saying maturity is the key word here. Maturity is highly needed when it comes to handling and managing crisis in a relationship and avoiding domestic violence. So, on this part that I want us to look at, I only want us to look at why domestic violence happens, right? Yeah, we must have mentioned one or two things that is related to what we're going to say right now, but then domestic violence happen in bases like this, where there is poor anger management, where there is childhood trauma, where there is lack of communication, definitely where there is financial stress and financial breakdown or control. Domestic violence can happen in such situation. And definitely when there is jealousy, insecurity, and behavioral attitude, domestic violence can happen in such situation. Because there are couples that are definitely more jealous than you ever want to see. Their jealousy is that they even don't want their spouse to say hello, hi to anyone, right? Not like they are financial buoyant enough to say, hey, you know what, be in the house. I don't want anyone to say hi to you. Let me take care of the whole bill. No, you cannot be on the left side and also be on the right side. You have to be one side. You see that you are able to take care of the bills, take care of things, or you let the both parties work and then manage your jealousy and insecurity. And then domestic violence can also happen in a situation whereby there is substance abuse. Yes. You see some situation whereby maybe one of the partner is always high. Maybe they're on marijuana, they take hard substance, and after taking it, they go out of control. They cannot control and manage themselves. Before you know, it escalate and get into violent, kind of crisis, and they will start, having problem here and there. So substance abuse can also lead to domestic violence. And of course, mental health struggle. When they talk about mental health struggle, it always looks like one English that is just there, that does not exist. But I want to let you know is that mental health struggle is real. The same way people go through postpartum depression, anger, anxiety, right? There are some people when they step out of the house, they are happy, they smile, they have fun, but immediately they come back and walk to that door, their mood change. There are some people when they travel back home, go to Africa, spend time, they don't take any medication. They are good and fine. But immediately they enter the flight, coming back to the United States, every of their tempo start going high. Blood pressure go high, sugar go high. Everything start inclining, going high. Those are anxiety, those are depression, mood activating, those are, mood swing. It is not far from that. I'm being honest with you. So I say this to say mental health struggles are real. And in some situation, because one person is putting the other person in a very high mood, always making him or her to struggle so hard, maybe trying to work 2, 3 jobs to pay all the bills because she or he do not want to help, right? And you put them in this struggle, and before you know, they start losing it. They start losing it. Mental health struggle is real. So that is pure example of what mental health struggle can do to people. And of course, the last but not the least is cultural misunderstanding. Yes, in some situation, you see couples, they came from different culture background, heritage background. They do not understand each other. They are trying to understand each other. You live with someone, and when you try to talk to your people in your language, she got angry or he got angry. He or she believe you are talking about them. You know, there are some cultural differences that makes people get angry for just no good reason. So in some situation, really don't know how to deal with that. But I want to believe if you must have crossed the border to choose someone that is out of your culture, you have to make them feel among, you have to make them feel belong, you have to make them understand that, hey, you are part of me, we are part of the family no matter what. You try to do your best to avoid those domestic violence and anger crises. All right? So now let's kind of reason this out. You do know that domestic violence somehow is becoming more common, right? Instead of domestic violence becoming low on the low level, is becoming more common. And for me, I always want to look at the days of our parents and also now, right? I want to believe in the days of our parents, we hardly or barely hear of domestic violence. Yes, I would want to tell you that we barely hear about all those. Like I told you, I hardly see my mom and my dad had problems. But now that I'm an adult, I am telling myself that it does not mean these people does not have problems. But it looks like they never had their problem in our present. They always try to avoid their situation or their brouhaha where the children are. It never happened in our present. And I bet you that is the best kind of parenting that you can give to your children. When your children do not see you quarrel with your wife, and they do not see you quarrel with your husband, and they will think that life is so sweet, marriage is so sweet, union is so sweet, and they would always want to grow up and behave the way they saw their dad behave or the way they saw their mom behave. But I bet you, if you are the type of man that always beat your wife, or you are the type of husband that always beat your wife, if you are the type of wife that always beats your husband, or the type of husband that always beats your wife, I am telling you that that is not far from what you are going to see on your children. Yes, because if not all your children, some are definitely going to copy from that. Some would have that mindset that I'm a real man and I'm not going to let you talk to me anyhow because my dad did not tolerate that. You know, and in some situation, you would see children fighting and supporting their mom, whereby if the man happens to be the violent type, always wanted to be the woman. And now the children have grown. Before you know, the children will come and say, hey, you dare not touch my mom. And in that situation, the man felt like the children are challenging him because of the wife. You know, these are always here or there. So I want to believe that the best thing is to always keep your situation with your spouse out of the children view. Always try to avoid some things that you know would affect the children or give them some kind of trauma when the future comes. There is no reason why your children should hear you calling your husband's names. And some family, you will step into some family, and because the man is considered less of a man because he is not meeting up with his responsibility, you would see the wife team up with the children and they would be verbally abusing the man, most especially in the Western world because he cannot do shit. He cannot say anything. And they would keep tearing him up and down with the words of their mouth. And I want to believe that we really need to change when it comes to dragging the kids to our mess, when it comes to dragging the children to the mess of our domestic violence, or any kind of family issues. Let children be children. Let them be out of those pictures. Do not involve them in such things because you are destroying their future. They can never be better than you. If you keep letting them see that, they will never be better than you. I'm being honest with you. So, considering the high rate of domestic violence, I want to believe that we can still work on it individually, right? Because you have to look at life around you and life ahead of you and know what you want and know how you want to minimize the situation that you've seen escalating and know how you want to deal and handle them and know how you want to control yourself because I believe that self-control will play a big role in you managing your anger and also controlling violence in a family setting. So now at this point, I want to bring it to the reality of immigrants living in the Western world as a family. When it comes to this very discussion of anger management and of course violence as related to the immigrant family living in the Western world, I want you to know that there are a couple of things you definitely need to have in mind. If you are living in the Western world or if you are thinking of relocating to the Western world, you definitely have to know that the culture differences are real. It's quite different from where you're coming from. The culture from where you're coming from is totally different from the culture of the Western world. So I say this to say, if you are a titled man, if you are a man that believes in title, if you are a man that believes that I am a man, if you are a man that are considered men of timber and calibers, I don't want to really speak because I do not know the kind of partner that you have. But I want to let you know that if you can, maybe try to be open before crossing over to the Western world. Because considering the situation in the Western world, you might not really have things the way it was from where you're coming from. I am not really saying that you are going to lose your title, your chieftaincy title, or who you are from where you're coming from. If you married a good wife and both of you have an understanding, well, those could still remain. You might still have the opportunity of she cooking, serving you, doing all that like is highly needed back home. But then, if you know that both of you are coming to work as couple, chase this money like is expected to be chased, work hand in hand, everybody get back home tired just like the other, I think you would need to drop this title before coming over. And by the time you get back, you can pick it up because people go back to settle, relax, and enjoy. But when you come over here, it's hustle and bustle and here and there. You have to keep working hard. Life is quite different over here. Life is quite different. It takes understanding, it takes endurance, it takes wisdom, and it takes managing your anger for you to be able to live with your partner here in the Western world and keep going and keep growing older and keep having those anniversary every year and year and keep making things happen. Most times it's not like union is hard. It's not hard. It's understanding and tolerance that could make you people keep going. So I'm not saying don't be the chief that you are. I'm not saying don't be in this pedestrian where everything is going to be done for you. But I'm saying that all hands might need to be on decks when you come over to the Western world. And you need to have that in the back of your mind. And you wouldn't want to see everything that happened to be a disrespect to your personality. Yes. And above all, you would always let love lead. Okay? The next thing I want to let you know as an immigrant family trying to, relocate to Western world or living in Western world is you definitely have to know that laws are different. The laws of where you're coming from is different from the laws of where you are. Maybe as an immigrant back home, the laws make the woman to be humble, submissive, respect the man, and all that. It doesn't mean that it cannot still happen in the Western world. But then, if your spouse is the type that can easily switch, adapt to the Western world, you might not be able to hold that back. She might switch when she gets to the Western world, and there is nothing you can do about it. It's either you want to manage it or you want to take a walk. It's in two ways. So you have to look at a situation like this and see if it's something you want to deal with. That is why I say before couples move to the Western world, they really have to think about it, have this conversation. Know your spouse. Know if your spouse is already the type giving you hell back in Africa. And know if bringing him or her over here is going to make the matter worse. Because once he, or especially she, come over here and understand the power she has, she can give you hell. There are good women. I don't dispute that. But there are those that will give you hell. Again, when it comes to the reality of immigrant family living in the Western world or thinking or planning to move to the Western world, I want you to know that when you come over here, you have less family support. In back home, you could have your children, have your mom around, have your siblings around. What's come to us, you take those children to your mother's place, take them to your siblings' place, have them play around, have your time with your spouse, things like that. It's always sweet. But over here, girl, over here, man, you have to be up and doing. You have zero support. There is no family to help you. Nobody is willing to come sit down to help you. No, every hour counts. Every hour counts. That means you have to have a schedule with your spouse who take care of the kids at the particular time and who take care of the kids at the other particular time. You guys will always want to come to an attempt, an agreement on how to handle the home. That is why I say you definitely have to leave that chieftaincy title back home. You definitely have to leave that big name back home if you are coming to the Western world because the ball game is going to be different. So you might need to take care of kids when the woman is out there trying to make the money. Or she would definitely need to take care of the home when you are out there trying to make the money. Both of you are on shift. Both of you have to be on shift. And that is how it's definitely going to be. So that means parenting is different compared to where you're coming from. Parenting is definitely different. Even the children sometimes feel the struggle. Yes, the children feel it too. And that is why when you see children growing in the Western world, they are more fast independent when they start becoming teenagers. You will see them doing a whole lot of things by themselves. By the time they get to 18, they are out there, instead that they're going to the college, or rather they're trying to do some side internship job before going to the college. They are always on the high speed. Like everything about them is They are in the fast mode because they grew up that way. The society is that way. There is no room for pampering, there is no room of petting. No. Everybody is up and doing. And of course, the financial pressure. No matter how the pressure is, both of you always have to come to an agreement, kind of have an understanding on how to take care of bills, what A should take care of, what B should take care of, right? Definitely, I stand to tell you that one person cannot take care of the bills when it comes to living in the Western world, except you guys do not have plan for the future, right? If you guys have plan built together, have your own houses and all that, one person might not really take care of that. Let's be honest, right? So you have to come to terms, come to an agreement to be able to do some things together, and everybody try to meet up with their own side of the bargain, and that keep life going. Yes. And the last that I want to add here is try not to compare your spouse with whoever that you are seeing outside, because we are good in that. You want to compare your spouse and tell them how they are not meeting up. That this so person, the husband is doing this, doing that, or that. The husband is the one paying the whole bill, doing this, doing that. And then you want to compare with him. And you start setting this pressure, trying to make people develop high blood pressure for no good reason. Don't compare. You cannot compare yourself with anyone in the Western world. You can try to work hard and try to meet up as much as you can, but do not compare yourself or your partner because you are going to put them in that high maximum level of pressure. Don't compare people. People might look alike, but their speed in life is different. People have different speed in life. You get? Sometimes it is not how far, but how well. So when you want to start comparing your spouse, your children, with the people around you, with some people that you see, remember, all that glitters is not gold. You do not know what those people are going through. So try to be yourself and manage yourself within your circle. So look at this. When you are couples trying to move or relocate to the Western world, just have these 5 or 6 things in the back of your mind. Okay? First and first is you have to learn the country law, where you are going to learn their laws, learn their jurisdiction, learn their legal terms, and learn their do's and don'ts. You need to learn that. Secondly, you must definitely respect each other as spouse when you're moving over to the Western world. You would definitely build that mindset that you would always respect each other. You would always have, you know, that that point whereby you would say, we are not going to let this get to this point. We are not going to let this escalate at this point, right? And then never use violence. The violence word, violent abuse, and try to cut down or talk down on people. Never use those harsh words on your partner. I know sometimes people cannot prevent it, but then, you know, if you guys set rules on how to deal with all that, you would always want to stop when you get to that rule and not let it cross. Fourthly, learn how to manage your conflict. Conflict resolution, there are ways to manage it, right? Like I said, if the woman is on the high tempo, the man take a walk and leave the house. If the man is on the high tempo, the woman choose to ignore. Don't talk, don't argue, make him a coward. That is what I say. Now, number 5, always build healthy communication, right? Know the right time to talk to your spouse. Know the right time to communicate so that your communication can make sense, so you can pass the message. I'm going to tell you something that I normally do. If I want to communicate something and looking at the situation, I know that if we want to sit down to have that conversation, it might not seem the way I want. What I do is I look at the best time, I pick up my phone. I will do a detailed voice record of what I want to communicate to my spouse, and I will send it to him. I will have them listen to it. I will speak all my mind in that voice note. And me doing that voice note already, I have already programmed and prepared my mind that it might get to some extent, I wouldn't care who listens to the voice note, but I want to make my point known and clear. So I will do the recording on voice note and say everything I want to say. Because depending on how you respect your spouse, when you guys want to have a conversation which you know is getting on your nerves, which is making you angry and sad, you might speak in a manner that he will feel that is so condescending for him. You might speak with the level of anger that you could not control yourself, and you see yourself talking in that manner that could bring violence, right? And bear this in mind. I am not doing that voice note because I cannot communicate or because I cannot have an open conversation. But I do understand that if I choose to do like a one on one conversation and I know maybe whatever I want to discuss was already getting on my nerves, right? There is tendency that I might not communicate well because remember, maybe I'm not in the calm mood to have like a calm conversation. Maybe it's something that is making me sad or angry, right? And now, if I end up choosing one on one conversation and then along the line my tempo become high and I could not communicate because he took the words of my mouth or he took my words on a different angle, right? Now, that conversation is noise and void. I did not communicate. It might probably at the end up to, some kind of argument. So did you see I did not communicate? Did you see I did not make my point heard? But if I pass that message through a voice recording and speak my mind and give some example and lay some emphasis and hit the send button and send it to him, he would take his time, listen to it. When he listened to it, he would be able to see where he's wrong. He will be able to know my side of story. He will be able to understand me better. Do you see there is no two-way banter in that? There is no two-way argument in that. It is a one-way communication. And because I want to pass a message, I don't just want to fight. I don't just want to argue. I want to make myself understand and known. So it was a one-way communication. And he understand everything that I said. At that point, he would definitely want to work on the things that I say because I speak for him to listen. I did not speak for us to argue. I speak for him to listen. And I bet you that always worked for me. So what I'm saying is, as a woman or as a man, when you look at your family setting, when you look at your spouse, you have to choose what works for you that would always make you people to want to avoid that argument, that crisis, that conflict. Choose what works for you and find out what works for you and make the best out of it. Now, the other side that I want to lay emphasis is keep children out of your conflicts. Keep children out of your madness. Keep children out of your violence. Do not let children take sides. Do not involve children in that situation. Stop making them become an adult when they are still children. Let them be. And I believe you moving to the Western world, you definitely must understand their legal terms and responsibilities, right? If you choose to move to the Western world, you will definitely understand the legal right and the responsibility of where you're going. You would know the do's and don'ts. You would know what you would do to get into trouble. You would know what to avoid not to get into trouble. And the last but not the least is if the situation is getting worse and you need to seek for a counseling, please do before it becomes a crisis. Always look out for what is best for you, always look out for what is best for the family, and always choose the better route so that someone will not lose their life in a violent or crisis or in a situation whereby the situation become worse. Please do. Now, at this point, I want to address both parties, the man and the woman. I want to speak fairly, right? Remember, I always said I am not a feminist. I am not here to support the man. I am not here to support the woman. I am here to speak what is right and be fair in my judgment. I say this to say, in many parts of the Western world, the authorities take domestic violence as a serious case. Yes, they will do everything to protect whoever that is involved in a domestic violence. Whoever that is experiencing that domestic violence, they will do everything to protect them. You might even be in a situation whereby if you are the man that is into domestic violence, they will stop you from going anywhere 10 or 15 or 20 feet close to the family. And it can also happen vice versa if it was a woman. Okay? But then before you let that situation escalate and get to the point of domestic violence, crisis, anger that you could not manage, and now the authorities are involved. That is when I say you should already know the legal right and what you expect when the situation gets to that point. Because when you hear people take unalive their partners, their spouse, they already know the consequences. They already know. So I want you to always have this in the back of your mind before making that drastic decision. Now, I would want to start wrapping this up, but let's look at anger management, which is going to be my last point that I want to discuss uh, on this whole series. Anger management. I want to say this before you deem it fit to travel to Western world with your family, or even if not your family, you should learn how to manage your anger. You should go and read anger management as a separate course on its own. Because in place of work, there is what they call code of conduct. There is what they call anger management. There is what they call workplace uh, um, behaviors. There are some things you definitely need to observe. There are some words you cannot even use in workplace. No matter how people get on your nerves, there are some words that you cannot use. I'm being honest with you. When you use them, you can either be sacked, you can either be sacked, or get a termination, or or get a query. There are some things you cannot do. Even when somebody is pushing you to the wall, you have to report it. You have to report it for it to be looking into. So you see that anger management does not really or only have to be you applying it in your house. You have to apply it in every aspect of your life when you are living in the Western world, in a place of work, in school. If your child or your children use those vulgar words, the bad words, they abuse the bully, you are gonna get a call for a meeting. You are definitely gonna get a call. And if care is not taken, you as a parent might be taking in for what the children do. So what I'm saying is anger management is applied on every aspect of life when it comes to the Western world. And now, coming to the home as a family, that is where you need to work on your anger management, handle your conflict in a very respectable manner, and make sure you do not let it escalate. There are a few practical techniques that you can always implement when a situation gets worse or is about to get worse, right? Maybe in your home, and you notice that violence is about to take place, and the situation is getting out of hand and it's not something you want to deal with, right? Maybe you being that bigger person to want to deal with things in a better way. These are the things you can do. One, you can choose to walk away. Be you a man, be you a woman, you can choose to walk away before reacting. Don't react. Just walk away from that situation. Just stay off of that situation. Or just be calm. Keep quiet. Don't say anything. You know, when two people are ranting, nobody is communicating. So you can choose to take a walk. Basically for men, please. So I know when a woman take a walk, they also see it as a disrespect. So at this point, be the man. This is when I want to tell you to be a man and take a walk. Okay? Then two, never argue when you are angry. Be calming down. Make sure your morale is low. Bring it down. Do not argue when you are angry. Because if you have temperament, you can mess up the situation. If you're someone that is very, very temperamental, I cannot attest to what you can do at that point. Okay? Three, don't test people when you are angry. Because when you are angry, you can say a whole lot of bullshit to the person on the phone. You can text them and say so many things that you might not be able to take back when the situation gets smoothie and loving again. They might always want to count on what you say to them. They might always want to count and hold you responsible for what you voiced out or test. So know that pictures speak more than 1,000 words. If you must say that, be ready to own it. Okay? And then always take a deep breath. Four, always take a deep breath. In that situation when it's happening, just, it is well. I know most women will be like, "You crazy. You are who is doing it as well." Please take a deep breath. Delia, Delia, you can handle this. Delia, you can do with this. Delia, calming down. Delia, just be calm, let go, let go. You're bigger than this. You're bigger than this. Just be talking to yourself. Be calming down, girl. Be calming down, man. Just cool your temper, But take a deep breath. It will always save a situation. Number 5, pray or meditate. Yeah. When that situation is boiling, and whatever it is boiling, right? You can choose to say, God, take control. Holy Spirit, be in charge. Angel Michael, Angel Uber, Angel Raphael, I call into this situation. Do not let it become what I cannot handle. God, go and calm this man down. Holy Spirit, go and close this woman's mouth. Shut her up. Give her an emergency shut up so that she will close her mouth. Involve God, meditate, pray, or speak it in your heart. Speak it in your heart. There are some funny things you think they are funny, but it works. They do. Then, 6, learn emotional intelligence. Oh my God. I have it grade 1. Learn emotional intelligence. I'm telling you, if you are boiling, if you're on the high pedestal, if you're on the high rails, if you're on that high, you would see me here. As you see me, look at me. I'm so precious that I don't want any physical activities on my body. Yeah. So I would avoid that. Avoiding it does not make me less. Avoiding it will never make me less. I know who I am. I know what I carried. I know what I'm made of, right? But I know how to avoid those situations. I don't know. Yes. I said some places that I want to ask you, what is your jailbreaker as a woman? What is your jailbreaker as a man? At this point, I don't even know what my jailbreaker is. Because when you keep saying my jailbreaker is cheating, my jailbreaker is not taking care of the kids, my jailbreaker is when you beat me. What if in a situation where he somehow raised his hand, you were the one that caused it? What if you are the one that caused it? How does your jailbreaker or your jailbreaking at that point works? So at this point in my life, I don't even have a jailbreaker yet. My jailbreaker might be when you say, it might be my jailbreaker. You get it? So I don't know all those big English trying to put a nail on somewhere, trying to put a nail on the head of something and try to make it a jailbreaker. Girl, the day a child pour or wasted a palm of oil is not the day he will be beaten. It's not the day he or she will be beaten. Or maybe a day that he just poured a cup of oil. But maybe a day that he or she might just pour a cup of water. So I don't do all those jailbreaker stuff, right? Yes, I don't do that because um, it depends on how you present yourself in your home. So that is it, okay? There are some people that they feel so on top of the world that saying I'm sorry is a big deal. Be it a man, be it a woman. Apologize is a big deal for them. For something that you can just say, hey, I'm sorry, honey, I'm sorry, my darling. Just let go. I didn't mean it that way. And they will let it escalate, escalate, escalate. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Man, I don't know. But I'm saying, learn to say I'm sorry, okay? Learn to say I'm sorry. It will help. It will go a long way. And always choose peace over pride because pride goes before a fall. And that is where most people get it wrong. Me, how can I apologize? Me, a whole me, apologize to you. Never. Cannot happen. Some will even say over my dead body. Choose peace over pride. Select your battles. Know when to fight and fight the right fight and fight it at the right time. That is all I can tell you. Okay? So let's wrap this up. But hear me. There are some real life lessons I want you to learn from what we have discussed today and from this conversation that we've had today. These are the lessons I want you to learn. Always tell yourself that one angry text message can destroy a relationship. One slap in a relationship, be it to a man or to a woman, can lead to a lifelong consequences. One false accusation can lead to a permanently damage of trust and reputation. One sincere apology from the heart can save a marriage or can save a relationship. One sincere apology from the heart, keeping pride aside and choosing peace, can save a marriage or save a union. One calm conversation can prevent a long-lasting regret. And now, the next one that I'm here to tell you is that pride has ended so many marriages more than poverty does. We used to think poverty is the worst thing, but pride has ended some marriages more than poverty would have done. And the last but not the least, I want to tell you, be you a man or a woman, the strongest person in a relationship is that very person that chooses to walk away before the problem or the situation became worse. The best person and the more matured person and the person that deserve the whole award, deserve the whole respect in a relationship is that person that chooses to walk away from that situation before it becomes violent or before it turns to a problem that cannot be managed. That is the most matured person. And hear this final say from me. The greatest winning in marriage is not winning an argument. It is protecting the relationship. Whether you are husband or you are the wife, don't let your anger or her anger make a decision that the future or your future or both of your futures will live to regret. Do not let anger make a decision that your future will regret for you. Home should be the safest place in the world. Make your home conducive for yourself and your partner and your children. Make it conducive. Make it relatable and palatable. Make it emotionally contented for you and your family. Let your home not be where that your spouse is coming back and before you know, their mood will change. They will start having mood swings. Try to make your home a welcoming, peaceful place. Choose respect at all times. Choose communication and choose peace. It helps and it will go a long way. So please always protect your feelings, protect your family, protect your peace, protect your spouse, protect your emotion, control your anger, stay away from violence, know when to speak, and know when to communicate for your message to go through. Know the right time to speak. Respect should also count. Respect should always be there. It doesn't matter who. No man is too small. No man is too big. No woman is too small. No woman is too big. Keep the children out of your mess. Keep the children out of those conflicts. Build a better home that you would want your children to emulate. That is what I want to tell you all today. And I love you all. And I want to believe that this message would get into your mind and make some changes. Until I see you all next time, I remain your girl D for Delia. Stay safe and stay out of trouble. Bye bye.